It all began with something ordinary: laundry. Rena lived on the third floor of a quiet apartment complex. The balconies below and above hers were cluttered with clotheslines, and every evening she watched garments sway gently in the wind like flags rippling in slow motion. That night, she hung her washing: shirts, socks, towels, and a few pairs of underwear. The moonlight glinted off the pegs, the air smelled faintly of detergent, and everything felt calm. The next morning, she noticed something was off. Everything else was still there: socks, shirts, towels, perfectly in place. But her underwear, gone. They hadn't fallen, and the pegs hadn't moved. It was as if the wind had only chosen them. Rena didn't tell anyone at first. She replaced the missing pieces and continued her routine. 2 days later, she opened her front door to leave for work and froze. On her welcome mat lay a small bundle, neatly folded. Her missing underwear, clean, dry, perfectly folded. Inside the bundle was a small note, written in tiny, precise letters. "Don't leave yourself outside again." Rena's heart raced. She glanced down the corridor. Empty, silent, no one in sight. Only the faint rustle of curtains in the apartment across the hall. That evening, Rena went to speak with her landlady, Mrs. Adeyemi, an elderly woman with keen eyes that seemed to see everything. "Mrs. Adeyemi," Rena asked carefully, "has anyone been taking clothes off the lines?" The older woman's face tightened. "Which line, my dear?" "The one outside my balcony." Mrs. Adeyemi lowered her voice. "Ah, that side of the building. Some tenants. They complain. Clothes go missing. Some say it's mischievous neighbors. Others, well, they say it's someone who never left." "Never left?" Rena asked. The landlady's eyes shifted. "A girl named Mercy used to live there. She loved washing and drying her clothes outside. One night, she forgot them out. When they found her the next morning, she was gone. Only her washing remained." Rena shivered. That night, Rena couldn't sleep. Every gust of wind brushing against her window carried a faint sound, not a voice exactly, but a soft, slow whistle, as if someone was folding or handling fabric just outside. At midnight, she crept to the balcony and peeked through the curtain. The line was moving, though there was no wind. The pegs slid gently along the wire, one by one. Then came the faint creak of footsteps behind her wall. She whispered, "Who's there?" No answer, only the soft sound of fabric stretching as if invisible hands were hanging something on the line. By morning, she found another bundle, this time on her bed. It wasn't hers. The underwear were old, faded, and each piece had initials embroidered inside. M.R. She remembered the name, Mercy. Inside the folded cloth was another note. "You should have stayed inside." Rena's stomach turned. She locked the windows and tossed the bundle in the trash. By the next morning, it was back on her bed, neatly folded, clean, and carrying the faint smell of detergent. After the second bundle appeared, Rena refused to hang anything outside. She locked her windows, taped her balcony door, and even unplugged her small drying rack in the kitchen. Yet, at night, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. A soft tapping sometimes echoed against the glass, light as a finger drumming on metal. The air smelled faintly of detergent, her laundry detergent, though nothing had been washed. On the third night, Rena woke to something different. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps on her balcony. Her heart froze. She peeked through the curtains. Nothing. The pegs on the line above twitched slightly, as if someone had brushed past them. Then a soft whisper. "You didn't leave them out enough." Rena's breath caught. The words were calm, almost polite, but carried an edge that made her skin crawl. She checked the balcony floor. Dry. Empty. No footprints. The next morning, another bundle was on her bed. Inside was a single pair of underwear, folded in perfect symmetry. A note read, "It's polite to follow instructions. Tomorrow, don't forget the wash." Her hand shook as she held it. Someone or something was watching her routine, timing it, responding to it. Unable to ignore the fear any longer, Rena went to the neighbor across the hall, Mr. Kalu, a quiet man who worked nights. "Have you noticed anything strange around the lines?" she asked. Mr. Kalu looked at her strangely. "Strange? You mean the girl before you, Mercy? People say she disappeared after someone took her washing. Some say it was just the wind. Others, I don't know. But I never saw her leave." Rena felt a chill. Her heart pounded. That evening, she sat on her bed staring at the closed windows. The air was still, but then a faint brush against her curtains, like someone had reached through. She held her breath as the line outside twitched, slowly, then stopped. The sound of delicate folding came from nowhere, soft enough to almost be ignored, yet precise enough to know her laundry was being handled. Rena whispered, "Who's there?" Silence. Then a faint metallic creak of the balcony door handle. Turning. By midnight, Rena realized the truth. Someone or something was living outside her balcony, invisible, meticulous, polite, and obsessed with her underwear. She had stopped spreading her laundry outside, but that had not stopped it. The wind had learned her schedule. It had learned her habits, and it would always return. Rena had stopped spreading her underwear outside. She had locked every window, taped her balcony door, and even stored laundry in sealed baskets. Yet, at midnight, she awoke to movement. A faint shadow danced across her curtains, elongated, impossible, as if someone were balancing along the balcony railing. The air smelled faintly of detergent, just enough to make her stomach twist. She held her breath. The shadow paused. Then, almost deliberately, it stretched toward her bedroom door. A soft, almost melodic whisper drifted through the room. "You should have left it outside." Rena's heart thudded in her chest. She pressed herself against the wall. The whisper came again, slower this time, almost coaxing. "It's polite to follow instructions." She shivered, realizing this presence had learned her habits, her timing, maybe even her thoughts.
The next morning, Rena spoke again to Mr. Kalu. "Something's happening," she said. "I think it's alive." Mr. Kalu looked at her gravely. "When I first moved in, someone told me about Mercy. They said she never really left, that her spirit stayed around the line. People didn't notice at first, until the laundry started disappearing. Then it started returning, folded, perfect, polite. Rena's stomach sank. You mean it's her? Mr. Kalu nodded slowly. Not just her. Something in her. Her obsession. Something that never left. That night, Rena couldn't sleep. She sat in the dark, staring at the taped balcony door. Then came the soft squeak of pegs moving. Slow, precise, one by one. A faint metallic sound of fabric being folded reached her ears, though nothing had moved. The shadow appeared again, stretching along the railing, impossible and slender. It stopped, then whispered, almost kindly, "Your turn." The next morning, she found a small bundle on her bed. This time, it wasn't her underwear. It was small clothes, socks, children's undergarments, pieces she didn't recognize. A note rested on top, written in the same careful handwriting. "You can't hide. The wind knows where you live." Rena realized it wasn't just about her anymore. Someone, or something, was watching, waiting, keeping score. Rena knew she had two options: leave the apartment forever, or confront whatever haunted the balcony and her laundry. The wind outside rustled the curtains like fingers, almost impatiently. She whispered to herself, "I have no choice." She stepped toward the balcony door and froze. A shadow lingered there, elongated, impossibly thin, as if someone or something had stretched itself across space just to meet her gaze. And the faint smell of detergent hung thick in the air, unmistakable, relentless, alive. Rena had barely slept since the shadow appeared. Every night she felt it, the faint brush of something cold along her skin, though nothing was there. Last night it came again while she tried to fold her laundry inside. A chill ran across her hands, as if invisible fingers were mimicking her motions. She froze. The laundry in her hands trembled, though no breeze moved the room. A whisper, soft and precise, echoed, "Fold it properly, or I will." The next morning, a bundle sat on her bed. Inside, neatly folded, were all the underwear she had washed herself. Every crease, every fold, perfect. And beneath it, a note. "You see, I can do it better." Rena's chest tightened. Someone, or something, was watching every single motion. Her own actions were being judged. Rena sought out Mrs. Adeyemi again. "Please," she said, voice trembling. "There's something wrong. I think the girl, Mercy, isn't gone. It's controlling the laundry." The landlady frowned, then lowered her voice. "Some things never leave. People forget them, but the wind remembers. And some obsessions stay with the world." Rena shivered. "Obsession?" Mrs. Adeyemi nodded. "The washing, folding, returning. She cared too much, too perfectly. That doesn't end with death." That night, Rena locked herself in her bedroom, clutching a broom for courage. The air was heavy with detergent scent. She crept to the balcony door. Slowly, deliberately, she unlocked it and opened it. The line was moving, pegs sliding silently along the wire. Then a hand appeared, invisible, yet distinctly cold, brushing her laundry. It folded a shirt perfectly. Another brush touched her hand. She jumped back, but the hand lingered, almost gentle, almost polite. "I am just helping," a whisper said, floating across the air. Rena swallowed her fear. "You're what? A ghost?" The hand paused midair. No answer, only the sound of precise folding.
A small bundle landed on the balcony floor. She opened it. More underwear. More notes. Do not forget the line. Do not forget the fold. Rena understood. She couldn't run. She couldn't hide. The presence had learned her habits, her routines, everything. She realized it wasn't malicious, but it was relentless, polite, perfect, obsessed. Rena took a deep breath. The balcony smelled faintly of soap. The night was still. The shadow lingered on the line, waiting. She whispered, "Fine, I'll follow the rules." And for the first time, she began folding each piece of laundry exactly as it wanted. The shadow hovered closer, then disappeared. But Rena knew this was only temporary. The wind, the line, the folding, it would always return. Rena had been folding her laundry diligently for days. Every night she followed the rules. No clothes left outside, each piece folded carefully, each crease aligned. She thought she was safe. That morning she awoke to find a small bundle on her doorstep, one she hadn't left on the line or anywhere else. Her heart pounded. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside, a single pair of underwear. Not hers. Clean, folded, and pristine. A note lay on top, written in the same meticulous handwriting. "I waited for you." The air in her apartment grew cold. The faint scent of detergent filled the room. She turned toward the balcony door. Nothing. And yet a shadow shifted across the curtains, slow, patient, almost like it was watching her every move. It wasn't angry. It wasn't malicious, but it was everywhere. "I waited for you," the whisper repeated, soft, polite, insistent. Rena shivered. Someone or something was no longer content with her following the rules. Desperate, she ran to Mr. Kalu's apartment. "Have you ever seen anything unusual?" she asked, clutching the bundle. He shook his head. "You're the first tenant in years to notice anything. Most just follow the rules and pretend nothing happened. But the one before you, Mercy, she tried to ignore it. It didn't end well." Rena's stomach churned. "What happened?" Mr. Kalu leaned closer, whispering. She became part of it. The wind, the folding. She was never seen again. But the laundry, it always returned. That night, Rena stood on the balcony, holding the bundle tightly. The air smelled faintly of detergent, heavy and alive. Slowly she placed the bundle on the railing. A soft breeze lifted it, and she saw something impossible. The fabric folded itself neatly, perfectly. Then a soft whisper, almost approving. "Finally, you understand." Rena felt her heart race. She realized that ignoring it, running, hiding, none of it mattered. This presence demanded cooperation, polite obedience, attention to detail. Days passed, and Rena found herself obsessively folding every piece of clothing, inside and out. She stopped leaving anything outside. She followed the unseen instructions perfectly, and yet every morning a new bundle appeared. Sometimes it was hers, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it contained notes. "Do not forget, do not leave, I wait." The presence was patient, timeless, polite, obsessed. And Rena knew one thing: she could never escape it. One night she whispered to herself, "If it wants me to fold, I will fold. She felt the invisible hands brush against the fabric in her hands. For a moment, there was a sense of calm, the whisper approving. Well done. Rena sat on her bed, folding each piece of underwear carefully. The scent of detergent lingered, heavy in the air. And she realized this was no longer fear. It was routine. It was the cycle. And it would never end. Rena had learned the rhythm. Each night she folded carefully, each crease aligned, each piece of clothing placed perfectly. Yet tonight felt different. The apartment was still. No breeze, no whisper, no rustle. She thought she might finally have peace. Then she heard it, soft, deliberate, outside her balcony. The faint creak of pegs, the whispering, hum of movement. You cannot hide. Her blood ran cold.
The balcony door, locked tight, rattled, as if a strong hand pushed against it from the outside. Rena approached slowly. A shadow stretched across the railing. Not Mercy, not a human form, but a thin, elongated silhouette, impossibly long, twisting along the balcony wire. It paused. Then a soft, metallic scrape filled the air. A peg sliding. The scent of detergent thickened, heavy, alive. It's your turn, the voice said, low and calm, yet carrying an edge she could not ignore. Morning came. Rena hesitated at her bed. A large bundle waited. Inside were dozens of neatly folded underwear, some hers, some she didn't recognize. Each had a note embroidered in careful handwriting. The wind knows. The wind always remembers. Her stomach churned. The unseen presence had grown. It was no longer just about her own laundry. It had expanded. It had claimed her space, her routine, her life. That night, Rena faced the balcony with resolve. She opened the door slowly. The shadow hovered, impossible in form, thin, stretching across the railing, its presence suffocating, yet strangely calm. The hands, invisible, cold, meticulous, brushed her laundry in perfect folds. The whisper said, "You may fold, but know this. I see all, I touch all, I return all." The fabric trembled in her hands. She realized this entity had no malice, only obsession, a relentless compulsion that had learned her habits, her timing, and her attention to detail. Rena sank to her knees, folding carefully. The shadow hovered close, approving silently. Days, nights, weeks. It didn't matter. The routine became a part of her life. The wind carried detergent scent, the whisper carried instructions, and the bundles continued to arrive. She understood one truth. There was no escaping it, no ignoring it, no running. The entity wasn't violent. It didn't need to be. Its patience with absolute, and its persistence eternal. Months later, Rena moved to another apartment, hoping to leave the ordeal behind. But the wind whispered in her new home, faint but unmistakable. A new bundle appeared on her doorstep, folded perfectly. The note read, "I always know, I always wait." Rena sighed, placing the underwear carefully in a drawer. Her routine continued, obedient, meticulous. And she realized